Hi guys, today's January 1st. I've got a couple videos I'm going to be making coming on here because I had a dream yesterday and I didn't think it meant anything, but after confirmation and studying and praying, I do know that it means something. It's the last dream of 2020. So I 1231 was the date, and 1231 means two Israelites as the two witnesses, to distinguish, to determine. Okay, 2020 meant deliverance and perfect vision. So we have the understanding of what's going to happen in 2021. A lot of us didn't believe that we would be here, including myself, but I always knew deep down inside what I've been shown was the things of this year. So 2021 means a weapon of war, attempt, and to put one hands to. Okay, once I tell you this and read this article thing, you'll understand why I gave you that information. Okay, I was at an apartment complex, kind of like a community. It's very hard to explain. And I was with my black friend, Raymond, whom is like family. And I was with his family. Okay, so this past Christmas, we did not spend Christmas together like we do every year. So anyways, that's why he's family. So I felt a, disconnect or whatever. And it was like, the end of winter, sometime in winter or spring, because there was only frost on the ground. It was cool, but it wasn't like freezing. All right. And all these buildings had a pinkish color to them, every one of them. Almost like this, but not as bright. So anyways, so then I saw across the street that my dad was with a black guy, and he had 4 white security cameras that he was trying to have this man buy. Okay, and my dad was in tears, and I saw them, and it caused this gentleman to take off with the cameras, but before he did, he broke them. He tried fixing them, but he broke them, and my dad was crying. Okay, and they were real legit tears, and I've only seen my dad cry twice his whole life. Okay, he had tears and it looked like this, streaming just like this, and then it stopped right here, and I said, I'll take care of it. And my husband said, don't worry about it. I told him, no, I have to try and get his money back. And so I said, I got to try and get his money back. But the thing is, the guy never paid for him. He just robbed him, pretty much. Took off with the security cameras. My dad never got paid. And so the guy wasn't there. And so but before I did, I wiped my dad's tears like this. All right. And so the guy was not there, but there was a woman that was standing there. And I told her what happened. And she said, you need to call the police. So when I got on the phone with the police, I turned around and I saw in the middle of the street, taking up both sides, okay, there was a wooden picnic table with a dark blue cloth covering it. And when the police answered, I told him that my dad was a cop and a sheriff, and told him where I was, which was in Gary, Indiana, which is actually a very bad city. Very, very bad city. And the police proceeded to tell him that my dad was almost 80, that he's 79. May 21st, my dad will be 80. Okay, I have a point to that. So I looked to my left as he asked my location, and I saw a green street sign with white letters that said, plain as day, Alpine Street. And I said, well, the guy's name was Robert Cooney, and I woke up. And I was like, okay, this is very strange. Okay, so going down, all right, Gary means strong man of God or spear. Okay, and in 2014, there was only 33 newborns that was named Gary. Why is that important? Because that was 6 years ago, and in 2014, I got my calling from God, the end time prophecies and stuff. Okay, and that was also, 2 years before Trump became president in office. And so Gary is also a variant of Gaza, meaning Gaza Strip, which is the war and the spear, which, targeted in Gary, which Gary is drug city, and there's a lot of fighting and violence there. I would never, it is bad, bad, bad. Okay, so then Indiana, and I thought, okay, I'm living out here. I know all about Indiana, but what's so significant about Gary, Indiana? Well, let me tell you. Indiana statistics says that the color would be pink. Okay, these buildings were pink. Okay, and it represents a girl name which has 7 letters, and 7 means rest. Habakkuk 2:3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry, wait for it surely will come and it will not lie. So now we've got right here, and it says Indiana's sits on top of the richest concentration of limestone on the planet and prides itself of fine quality of its mineral output. Indiana's limestones has helped build the Pentagon, the Empire State Building, and the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, the National Cathedral, and more. And we know how important the Pentagon is, which deals with the government, the Empire State Building. We've got, New York, and so on. All right, and then Indiana's name means land of the Indians, or simply Indian land, and it also stems from Indiana's territorial history, which was on May 7th of 1800. The United States Congress passed legislation to divide the Northwest Territory into 2 areas and named the western section Indiana Territory. Why is Indiana important? Because it has an important role in the Union during the American Civil War. Indiana was the first western state to mobilize for war, and its soldiers participated in almost every engagement during the war. Okay, we know that what is coming, okay, in 2021, mass civil unrest, okay, and from, December 31st, I've got this little calendar that my parents bought me, the Christian calendar, and each day it has a little quote. Well, I'm going to read you yesterday's quote and today's, and why this is significant. So it says, here's what we can do, or here's what we can rest in today. The only one who has ever been able to bear the weight of the world is strong and loving enough to carry all the concerns for us. Okay. And January 1st is, God is our strength when we are weary, our hope when we are discouraged, and our encourager when the stresses of life brings us down. Okay, there's many different wars going on here. We got the Constitution, the Tecumseh War, the War of 1812, the British rule, the French rule, the U.S. territorial rule, Mammoth Internal Improvement Act, the Second Constitution, the Civil War, the gas boom, the Harrison elected president, the KKK scandal, okay, which the guys were black, and we know, about, the Black Lives Matter, the racism, the things like that have still occurring to this day. Now the history, so the history of human activity in Indiana, a U.S. state in the Midwest, began with migratory tribes of Native Americans who inhabited Indiana as early as 8000 BC. Tribes succeeded one another in dominance for several years and even reached their peak of development during the period of Mississippian culture. The region entered record history in the 1670s when the first Europeans came to Indiana and claimed the territory for the Kingdom of France. After France ruled for a century with little settlement in this area, it was defeated by Great Britain in the French and Indian War, which lasted 7 years. Okay, I'm going to stop there because there's a lot of history behind this. But my whole point was about the significance of Indiana, the 7, and how it coincides, why, the dreaming of this. Okay, so now There was 7 letters, in the name of Indiana. 4, okay, which was the 4 security cameras, which is not burdensome, bringing no weight or oppression upon. Okay, the security system was handed over to a trusted source, not to be tampered with. Okay, but yeah, it has been tampered with, like the AT&T bombing in Nashville. Okay, well, which took down the AT&T towers, which we know was an inside job due to the FBI and blah, 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 blah. So its ploy is to take down our communication systems, okay? Like Trump and the other officials having the Americans place their trust in them only to deceive the people. Now we have the Hebrew lexicon of the number 4, which means fruit, fresh, young, and greening, which also represents the innocence. Okay, so I had a point. Okay, so Robert, which was associated, Robert is associated with the number 6. Okay, 6 we know is also someone famous for doing something that lasts. It means masonry, or could come from tailoring, robes, and clothing, which is a wolves in sheep's clothing. Okay, my dad placed his trust in this gentleman, although he robbed him. So the short version of the name of Robert is Rob. Okay, to be robbed or robbing. The insipated juice of a ripe fruit mixed with honey or sugar to the consistence of a conserve. Okay, Proverbs 23:6, says, do not eat of the food of the wicked and do not crave its delicacies, which, Kuni is a refining process. The white cameras is purified innocent, so to be trusting of a thief. Okay, Raymond, counselor, protector, mighty, wise, protector. Okay, so I am the bride taking care, as the bride, taking care of the church, preparing them for what's to come. Okay, so this was my last dream of 2020, right? Okay, my dad's 79, almost 80. All right, so I'm going to read to you before a scripture on that 79-80. So, all right, so the churches that which need to be prepared is the churches of Laodicea and the Sardis, but especially the church of Ephesus. Let's read in Revelations 2:4. Okay, it says this. Nevertheless, I have this against you, that you have left your first love. Okay, so this guy, Robert, deceiving. Okay, that's what the people are doing. They had the love at one point, and then their hearts grow cold. Okay, and they become deceitful, and they fall away from Christ completely, or their non-acceptance of him. So therefore, they hurt those and anybody in their path that they think, that they could get away with. Okay, but us having the mind and the understanding, the wisdom and knowledge to be able to know the difference, we become more and more aware of our surroundings and those who are in what type of church. There's 7 churches, one whom gets harpazoed, raptured, caught up, escaped, whatever. All right, so yes, this dream was a message to the church, to the churches. Okay, so they left their first love and could have been rewarded, but instead they broke their bonds. They broke the trust, okay? So just like America has broke their trust with these other countries, we've got China that we've been in contact with, Russia and all them, and we know that we are in the process of war. All right, and now the best for last. So it says Alpine, okay, which means relating to high mountains. Alpine countries, which we have France, Italy, Switzerland, and Germany, and we all know that they play a huge role in the end times with the mark, the vaccinations, the trade deals, Brexit, etc., which also means child of wolf. Wow. So, and the picnic table, which represented, because when you go on a picnic, you eat their snacks and things like that. The blue cloth, Esther, 8:15, Exodus 26, which talks about the veil, the covering, the fine linen of royalty, which was the bride, the wedding supper of the Lamb. The left side is Satan, and the right side is God's chosen. So you want to be on the right side, because when I look to my left is where I seen the Alpine, and that's where the tablecloth and the picnic table was. And God says, "Do not eat of the delicacies of the wicked." Okay, so now 79 into 80. Why is this important? Well, because I have a Bible study that I am going to prepare you for. So this is going to be part 1, which therefore will bring into part 2 of my next video. So stay tuned.